Take you live now to the Commissioner at the Rural Fire Service, Shane Fitzsimmons, providing an update on the fire situation across the state, also joined by Premier Gladys Berejiklian.
100 fires burning across New South Wales, and 55 of those are not contained. We've still got more than 2,000 people working on these fires, and more than 2,600 people working on these fires, which are proving once again to be very difficult to contain and suppress due to the very dry, drought-stricken landscape. Of course, we've seen the update today with Deputy Commissioner Rogers and Warboys that tragically we've confirmed that 6 people have died as a result of the fires through southeastern New South Wales yesterday, and of course we saw the tragic death of our firefighter Sam out in near Gingellic the night before. The figure is now, unfortunately, up to 186 homes that have been confirmed as destroyed across fire-affected areas down in southeastern New South Wales, and we still have a considerable amount of fire burning in the landscape. Our focus remains on trying to contain and consolidate lines ahead of the deteriorating weather conditions coming into the weekend, particularly Saturday. And of course, our message is, as soon as the roads are able to be traversed, we are encouraging particularly holiday makers and visitors to the southeast of the state to make their way out of the southeast of the state to safer places like Sydney and further afield. The police and the fire authorities are working very hard at the moment to try and deal with burning areas along the Princes Highway, particularly to the north of Batemans Bay and closer to Nowra, and hopefully achieving some restricted access later today and more free access tomorrow and the next day. So we are working very hard at ensuring we can get that access done, as to with the power restoration and improving the communications. We are getting the indications with the forecast for Saturday that it is going to present a broader geographic area worse than what we saw yesterday when it comes to fire danger, with a fairly widespread area of extreme, which will dominate the southeastern corner of the state through the southern slopes, the southern ranges, parts of the high country, and through to places like the Illawarra and Shoalhaven. Unfortunately, that also correlates with where we've got some of the worst, most damaging and destructive of fires burning in New South Wales at the moment. We're also keeping a very close eye on the fire, the Greenwattle Creek fire, but the very northern end, northeastern end of the Greenwattle Creek fire, southwest of Sydney, where that fire has flared up west of the Warragamba Dam and west of the communities of Warragamba. There's a very focused effort in the very northeast corner of that fire. Crews are getting around that on the other side of the dam, and there continues to be some backburning operations on the other side of that breakout to try and secure that as best as we can before we see the worsening of the conditions coming into the weekend again on Saturday. So once again, we need people to be patient, we need people to be focused and communicating with one another about what they're doing and when they're going to do it. We're doing our very best to get the roads open out of the southeast, but we all need to prepare ourselves for more challenging conditions to once again impact large geographic areas of New South Wales, particularly the southeastern quadrant, as we head into the weekend. Mr. Warren.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Premier. There is some good news, as much as we still have a long way to go. Certainly that access from Batemans Bay north will be open to very restricted access from sometime this afternoon, and that will be under the control of Traffic and Highway Patrol, RFS. We really want people to make sure that they abide by the directions that they're giving and understand that this piece of roadway is still quite vulnerable in terms of the active fire space, and we will continue to progress people moving up and down that road this afternoon, into tonight where that is possible, and certainly through tomorrow as daylight comes. Towards south of Batemans Bay, we'll also work with some local roads down the coast that will bring people down in through Bega, Bermagui, Bega, and across Brown Mountain, then into Cooma, Canberra, and they can make their way then up towards Goulburn, up the Hume to Sydney, and of course out further west. So there's been some really good progress, some good work by all the agencies to get to this point this afternoon. I can also report that small amounts of power have been restored to places like Ulladulla and shortly around some places in Batemans Bay. A long way to go, people, but I think it's important that that people understand that the work is being done, it is incremental, we are getting some wins, and we're trying very hard for the people of the South Coast and the communities to bring this to a much more comfortable place for them. The Commissioner spoke about people leaving the area, and we thoroughly support that. It's something that we need to make sure that people do not intend to travel there in the next few days, and those people that are there that need to get out need to make sure they make good decisions, that they are ready to go, and that they travel safely out of the South Coast. The other thing that I would say is that the patients side of things has been phenomenal, from people right up and down the South Coast in our evacuation centres that are full. It is trying times, and people have heeded the warnings, they've cooperated well, and we just ask them again to continue in that spirit through tonight into tomorrow, and we look forward to some further power restoration, some more road openings, and of course increased communications up and down the South Coast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner. I wanted to echo their comments about thanking everybody for your patience. We know that making our roads safe to access is taking time, and just because you can't see flames doesn't mean the road is safe to use. And having seen the number of trees burnt out, having seen the debris alongside these roads, I completely understand why the emergency authorities need to make sure they're safe before people can use them. Having said that, we are grateful for milder weather conditions in the next few days, and where roads can be accessed, we will be encouraging tourists especially to move out of those areas whilst it's safe to do so, because we are concerned about what the weather might bring us on Saturday, given what's been forecast and given what we've experienced in the last few days. So I want to thank all the government authorities and agencies, but also all those private organisations who've been supporting efforts to restore power, to provide access to roads, and also to get the basics right for the community so that people can move through those areas and get to a safe place. And I can't thank enough everybody for their efforts in the last 24, 48 hours in particular. And I'm very encouraged by the progress that has been made in relation to restoration of power in some areas, although there are still a lot of communities without power, but also increasingly better access to parts of the Princess Highway, which will be vital to allowing people to move around ahead of those conditions on Saturday. I have also seen the number of people that are coming through the evacuation centres, and thank them for their patience, especially those who've lost everything, who are patiently waiting to get the support they need to be able to start considering what they need to do in the next 24, 48 hours. And I want to thank everybody in those centres, whether they're volunteers, whether they're workers, whether they're people who need help, for their patience and their understanding during this time. Questions?
What's being done with the power? So are generators being brought in, or how is it being restored?
Yeah, I might ask Deputy Commissioner Warboys to comment on that.
Yeah, thank you. I don't profess to be an electrical expert, but certainly there's access to generators for a number of businesses and emergency services, and that is a temporary measure. Our experts in that power area have flown the lines. They've looked at substations to make sure that when they actually turn the major transmitters of the power to the towns that they stay on. So we need to do that safely. We need to make sure that when we turn it on incrementally across the South Coast, that it remains on, it doesn't compromise other work that is being done. So I can assure people that this is a 24/7 around-the-clock arrangement with people with the qualities that we need to get this job done as quickly as we can and as safe as we can.
And what's the main focus for tomorrow?
The main focus for tomorrow will be about, as best we can, getting people that don't need to be on the South Coast out of there, back to their homes, back to their family and friends, with the heat and the conditions coming on Saturday. What we need to remember is there are still many pieces of active fire ground. The Commissioner Fitzsimmons and the Rural Fire Service, Fire and Rescue New South Wales are still well tied up on lots and lots of firework. So our work is about trying to assist them, to support them, and get people to a safe position, not just now, but with Saturday coming on.
Have there been any updates on the two people that were unaccounted for?
No, I have no further updates on that, and as soon as we do, you'll certainly know about it. Thank you.
Commissioner, there was a fire at emergency level this afternoon. What came of that?
Which fire?
Snowy area?
Duns Road.
Yeah, so we had that fire escalate. There's a collection of fires. I think that fire has just momentarily been downgraded to watch and act, but it is going back up to emergency warning. It's indicative. Unfortunately, that fire behaviour was increasing and spreading. It was predominantly into rural properties or more isolated properties. We activated the messaging system as well, but importantly, because of the location, a lot of firefighters and personnel were getting in and door knocking and visiting the residents that were likely to be impacted by that fire. Again, I think it's indicative, even under today's more mild conditions, if you like, compared to what we saw yesterday, we've still got very dynamic, volatile fire grounds that are spreading and being driven very quickly by even mild weather conditions or more mild weather conditions and windy conditions. So it is a reflection of why we're concerned for Saturday. We've seen the enormity of damage and destruction and devastation that unfolded yesterday, and unfortunately the weather conditions coming in for Saturday are likely to be worse. So this risk is very real, like we've seen up and down the coast for the last few months. We're not attempting to overstate the potential for Saturday, but you've only got to look at what happened yesterday to appreciate what might further unfold, given the enormity of population centres, small, medium and large, throughout the south coast and the southern region areas. And we're doing all we can to try and consolidate and shore up protection. But the reality is there is a lot of fire edge. There is a lot of very active fire edge now across some of the most beautiful, yet rugged and difficult to access terrain we've got in New South Wales.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to recap some of that press conference now by the New South Wales Rural Fire Commissioner, Shane Fitzsimmons, also joined there by the Deputy Police Commissioner and also the Premier Gladys Berejiklian. The main messaging from this is that tonight they are going to open parts of the Princes Highway, mainly north of Batemans Bay. Anyone on the south coast, they are urging you now that is the time to leave there, to try and get back to where you're from, potentially holiday goers that are coming from Sydney. There is going to be a small window of time, probably about 24 hours, where we will see that road open, and that is the chance for you to leave. On Saturday, they are expecting conditions to be worse than what we saw yesterday, and we are going to see a lot of those fires flaring up yet again. Because of that, they think that the road might be closed again, and if you don't leave during that window, you might be stuck there till early next week. So that's definitely the main point. A few other things, they are working very hard to restore power to areas across the south coast of New South Wales. I believe it was Ulladulla and also parts of Batemans Bay that now have power restored there. So hopefully we will start to see communication back up again for those of you trying to contact loved ones across the south coast of New South Wales. They also say that a main concern for Saturday is going to be that there's going to be a fairly wide area of extreme fire danger rating, and it's actually going to be a larger area than what we saw yesterday. There are huge concerns in particular for the south coast, southern regions of New South Wales, and also another fire that has been mentioned a lot today, which is the Greenwattle Creek blaze. Now that's burning near Warragamba Dam in southwest Sydney, on the outskirts there near Camden. They're saying that the northeast tip of that blaze is the biggest concern. They're really focusing on that at the moment, doing a lot of backburning to really try and strengthen containment lines, but it's unlikely that they will be able to control that in time before we see those conditions on Saturday. So residents in that area, if you are towards the northeast tip of the Greenwattle Creek blaze, you need to prepare for the worst on Saturday.